Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this professional learning opportunity. Catholic Scouting, sponsored by NCCS. I am Bailey Cornelius, Digital Project Coordinator at NCEA, and I will be facilitating this webinar today. A few housekeeping notes as people are joining. We will be recording this session today. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to use the Q&A question window. We will monitor any questions and try to answer them all in the allotted time. At the end of the session, I will share a link to the online survey in the chat and instructions on how to receive a certificate of completion for the webinar. And now for a special introduction from NCEA President and CEO, Lincoln Snyder.
Greetings, my name is Lincoln Snyder and I am President and CEO of the National Catholic Educational Association. And today it's my honor to announce that we're partnering with the National Catholic Committee on Scouting because we share with them a common core mission, which is helping young people grow in our Catholic faith. NCEA is happy to help introduce Catholic Scouting to more Catholic school educators and to help highlight all the ways that Catholic Scouting complements what is taught in Catholic school and classrooms every day. I also have a personal recommendation to offer. My children were involved in Catholic Scouting through our parish, and I am a firm believer in all of the value, structure, and support that Catholic Scouting brings to young people. This is a very exciting program. It combines tradition with faith, with service, and it really does help connect young people with fellow students and helps families build relationships with their fellow school and parish families. It's a time-tested structure and offers activities and programming now for boys and girls starting as early as kindergarten. My kids started when they were in elementary school, and my eldest completed the program during the pandemic with the Eagle ranks. So very proud of all the support that the community offered us through Catholic Scouting. It encourages faith-focused service in school, parish, and community in many ways. Our scouts quickly learned that the real reward of serving others is knowing that they are making a positive difference in the world as they offer that service in Christ. And now it's my privilege to introduce to you two guests who are very knowledgeable about Catholic Scouting and Catholic schools. Our first guest is Father Gerard Gentleman, who is pastor of St. Rose of Lima Roman Catholic Church in New York, which is a K-8 Catholic school. Father Gentleman holds both a Master of Divinity and Master of Arts in Theology from the Seminary of the Immaculate Conception in Huntington, New York. He's been involved in scouting for most of his life, earning the rank of Eagle Scout in 1986, and currently serving as the National Chaplain for the National Catholic Committee on Scouting. Our other guest is Ms. Lizette Reina Naranjo, who is the principal of St. Michael the Archangel Catholic School, a pre-K-8 school in Miami, Florida. She holds a Master of Science degree in Diagnostic Teaching and a Bachelor of Science in Special Education with a specialization in learning disabilities. Both of those are from Florida International University. She has been an educator for more than 35 years and served as a member of the Archdiocese of Miami Catholic Committee on Scouting for more than 15 years, where she has served as chair and is currently treasurer. She and her late husband were Catholic Scouting leaders for many, many years. So please welcome our presenters. Thank you.
And now I will hand it over to Father Gerard and Lisa.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being with us today and this opportunity to share with you a little bit about this partnership between Catholic schools and Catholic Scouting. As Lincoln said, I am a priest up here in New York, and I've been involved with Catholic Scouting all of my priesthood, and I now serve as the National Chaplain. So I just wanted to maybe start with just talk a little bit about, who we are. What is Catholic Scouting, or what is the National Catholic Committee on Scouting? What's it all about? So the National Catholic Committee on Scouting has been in existence from 90 to 100 years, depending on how you want to look at it, that the church, the bishops, priests, religious saw it important to look at what Scouting was doing in the development of young people and use it as a part of our overall mission. And Catholic Scouting is a program or a way of us marketing who we are in Catholic Scouting, to say that, Boy Scout, the National Catholic Committee on Scouting is the only sanctioned program recognized by the church and the U.S. bishops and Boy Scouts of America at having this collaborative ministry. And we thought it'd really be important to begin to try to help people to see how Catholic scouting, how scouting itself, Boy Scouting, fits into the mission of the church. And so we now have this new relationship where NCCS and NCEA can have this real strong relationship in which we are fostering the same goals. So within the context of a school community, continue to share faith and using all that scouting has to offer to be able to do that. And I'm so grateful that Lizette is here with us to talk from the experience of being a school principal and someone who knows scouting. So Lizette, why don't you talk to us a little bit about your experience of Catholic scouting in your school?
So Catholic scouting here at St. Michael's has been a tradition probably over 50 years on and off. And like Father said, for the last 20 years or so, or Lincoln actually, the last 20 years or so, I've had some involvement with it at different levels, whether as a leader or the chair. So here at St. Michael's, I remember I was a student here and I remember the boys had Boy Scouts. And as time went on, obviously, I graduated, I had my own children, and we came back. And one of the things that I found at the time, there wasn't a connection between the school and the scouts. And I thought that was important because my children were students at the school. So we made it a point to integrate and to recruit from within the school. And a beautiful relationship blossomed. And I have to say that, and by a relationship, I mean, we are trying to teach the same goals and values at our Catholic school that scouting teaches our scouts. So why not recruit and build upon that? And I have to say that for my family, and I can tell you from my family experience being a school parent and a scout parent, it made all the difference in the world. My son had a profound hearing loss, and he found a niche within his friends at school, but that group of his friends at school that were also in scouting, he's 28 years old today, and he started when he was 8 or so. Those are still his good friends. These are still the people that attend our parish, that we do activities with. So I think scouting in a Catholic school, when you mesh it together as a family activity, as just a part of the school, like it's in the yearbook, Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts are in our yearbook. That's one of the clubs, if you want to call it that. It can really make a difference in the life of a young person, and now young ladies, because now we have girls, and also in the lives of the families, because you are dealing with families that have your same values, your same beliefs. And just like I said that my son, those are his good friends to this day, I have to say that some of my closest friends are some of those scouting parents from 20 years ago.
Right.
So
So, yeah, Lizette, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the community building that happens.
yes.
But, I was just thinking, looking at these two quotes that are up here, it seems that, scouting, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that scouting has, helped to reinforce some of the things that are in the classroom. Like this one talks about
Absolutely. Sorry, I went
communication.
off there, but
That's okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. So we
Absolutely. When I talk about scouting, I really do get excited because I know what a difference it can make. And absolutely, Catholic scouting, it creates some self-confidence. It gives the children communication skills, which is why it was such an important thing for our family and for my son. It instills those gospel values, not only in their religion class, but across all their classes. It gives them, when we look at research that's been done through the years, some of our valedictorians, many have been scouts. They're astronauts because they learn about science. They learn about all these different things that sometimes you don't get to have in a regular classroom. And what they learn in scouts, a lot of the time, they bring it into the classroom. And sometimes even the teachers tell us, hey, we're learning all these things that we didn't know. Or if they're talking about physics, they might do something. We do, oh my goodness, the Pinewood Derby. and
Right.
they learn about the physics and things like that. So it's not just a scout thing. They bring into the school a lot of the academic and make it
Mhm.
fun and exciting, which we're going to talk a little bit about
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah, I want to, talk a little bit more about that community building because, I've heard so many people, my experience as a scout and others talk about that too, that, one of the benefits of scouting is it brings together a various different groups of kids, so in scouts, you're going to find kids who are into athletics. You're going to find kids that are maybe more perhaps deeply into academics. You can find kids that are involved in robotics and all that stuff. So scouting kind of brings a diverse group of people together. And hopefully, like you said before, building the relationship within the parents too, that the more parents know the parents of their children's friends, the better it is, right? So that's been your experience, a little bit of the community building that's happened, that scouting adds to it.
Absolutely. 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 It's probably one of the greatest gifts that I've had in this life. And I have to tell you that that community, and I know it's different for everyone, but I can speak for a lot of the packs and troops in the Archdiocese of Miami. We have our Catholic Committee on Scouting, which we'll talk about later, but many of our packs and troops, we've built friendships through the years, so that even though the students don't attend the same school, when they see each other at school events, at school activities, there's that connection. And through the years, even, my husband was an Eagle Scout, and through the years, I remember that when we joined scouting again, he made those reconnections with scouts from other troops that he knew from his youth. So it's not something that is just when the child is in the program. It can carry over. And I don't know if there's how can I rephrase this? I don't know. Like I said, it was a gift to our family.
But
Honestly, scouting.
as an educator, I'm sure one of the things you battle all the time is, when you're trying to teach and a kid says to you, "This is boring," right? This is boring, and so when things are fun, they don't realize that they're learning as
Learning.
much. So, but we just have this little video that I wanted to show that really speaks about the fun and the joy of Catholic scouting. So let's just take a look. So we put that, oops, there we go. We put that video together just to, I guess give a broader perspective on what we're talking about. And the tagline of faith, family, and adventure. One of the things I've talked about is, what a way to get, we're talking school here, but to get families connected to the parish and having things that everybody can participate in is such a draw, and that's what I think in a lot of ways scouting is doing. So it's about fun, it's about friendships, but we want to talk a little bit more about what happens within our program, right? We've been talking a little bit about the overall feeling and connectivity that scouting brings, but it's good for us to spend a little bit of time talking about the specific programming that the National Catholic Committee on Scouting offers and that can be implemented into schools. So we're going to talk about a couple different things, but Lizette, why don't you, well, let's start with the religious activities and how these are. Tell me a little bit about your experience of the religious activities, and we're going to go through them a little bit.
So the religious activities, it's a group series of, I want to say 6 or 7, I believe, patches that encompass different topics and themes. And One of my favorites is the one on the saints. These activities are activities that you do not have to be a scout to participate in. And some of our religion teachers here at St. Michael's will use some of these activities where it's all there for you, certain things that accomplishments, some are based on the age or the grade level that students have to accomplish. And they learn about different saints. One of my favorites is, I see him right there, Carlo Acutis. And our middle schoolers relate very well to him because he's a teenager that was, I think he's only been gone about 20 years or so. So it's someone they can relate to. And we've done the patch. And usually for All Saints Day, especially our middle school religion teacher, she'll assign them different saints to learn about. And we give them some of these options. So in that particular series of the modern saints, we have Carlo Acutis, we have John Paul II, we have Mother Teresa, which are modern day saints, like the series says, people that they can relate to, that it's not someone from, 2 centuries ago or whatever it may be. And again, you do not have to be a scout. However, you can definitely incorporate it into your scouting program. And when we do our Catholic Committee on Scouting retreats for the Archdiocese of Miami, we always try to incorporate some of these series and patches that the scouts can earn during that retreat, because it really is not that difficult. The information is fairly easy to find, especially nowadays with an iPad. So I definitely recommend that if you are an educator watching us or a principal, it's something very easy to incorporate into your religion class program that they can do in 1, 2, 3, however many lessons you would like. And it lets them learn about different saints. We also have the faith series, which talks about Eucharistic adoration, divine mercy, some of these things that maybe you can dive a little bit deeper with working on the patch. And
What I like
think
about them, Lizette, is that they're like, it's a lesson plan. It's right there,
it's right
so,
there.
for a teacher, a catechist who, wants to, be able to do something that's fairly simple, it's all right there. The links to different information about either the saints or the parts of the rosary, and then the activity itself. And then you don't have to, but the students can then get these patches, right? That is a a visible reminder of what they've worked on. I want to go and talk about just something that's been going on for a limited time right now. So where the church is in this Eucharistic revival, right? The church here in the United States, and we at the National Catholic Committee on Scouting said we need to be a part of this, right? The church is saying, let's focus on the Eucharist. Let's have new opportunities for us to be revived in our Eucharistic faith. And so we said, well, let's put an activity together, an activity program that, again, is not just for scouts, it's for everybody. And the basics to earn the patch in the middle is attending Mass 12 weeks in a row, right? And then there are other things that they can build upon, what we call in scouting rockers. They go around them as well too. But this is our way of engaging in the National Eucharistic Revival, and helping our scouts to understand this central aspect of our faith. So we're going to be participating in the pilgrimage. The Eucharist is going to be traveling from 4 different parts of the country, ultimately to the Eucharistic Congress in Indianapolis this coming July. So that's another activity that, again, right there, simple. The lesson plan is very user friendly. Lizette, have you had any experience with it yet?
So I didn't personally, but I know that we used it in our Catholic Committee on Scouting retreat a few months ago. And because one of the requirements is to attend a Eucharistic activity, which a retreat would be a part of. And we got a really good response from what they were telling me. The children really enjoyed it. Sometimes we have adoration and they don't necessarily understand. And it was a great experience, and that was just one of the activities that they participated in. Like you said, they have a whole year to work on this. I think it's until June of 2025.
Mhm.
So they can do the 12 masses. They have to receive the sacrament of confession at some point. I know they have to, I want to say the rosary, they have to do 4 of the
Mhm.
mysteries. So, and then there's also family activities, family prayer, maybe parish ministry, they're an altar server or a lector. So I think it's a great way to get our young people involved in the church, whether they are in scouts or not.
Mhm.
And it's great that they have a year, a little bit more than a year, to work on it. So you can
Right.
start on it now and still have some time through the next school year to complete it if they don't get it done. So
Absolutely. So we've been talking about these activities which anybody can work on, right? But then for those who are scouts, we have what we call the religious emblem program. And again, grade level appropriate, helping scouts to grow in their faith, really a complementary to whatever catechesis, whether it's in school or a faith formation program. We relate to the U.S. bishops through one bishop who's kind of assigned to us, and that's Bishop Michael Fisher. He's the Bishop of Buffalo, New York, and he's an Eagle Scout. But he keeps telling people that his experience with the religious emblems, particularly the Adultary Day, which I'll talk about in a second, was just as challenging for him as earning his Eagle Scout, and something he's just as proud of. So I'll just move the slide ahead here. Again, this is for those who are involved in scouting already. So the Light of Christ is an emblem that's designed for um, the youngest 6 to 7 year old scouts. And again, it's working with parents there. Parvuli Dei means child of God. And again, it would be child and parent working together on these. And these are all for the Cub Scout level. Then the adultary day is really designed for someone who's beginning their teen years. And I always talk about the fact that we need to help our kids move from the 7 year old first communion kid to the teenager, because life is very different, for them. So the adultary day program is for that early teen scout. And it's called To the Altar of God, and really goes into a little bit more depth on their level of understanding what our faith is about, broad perspective on the different aspects of our life of faith. There's service involved, retreats involved. Light is Life is similar, but it's for those scouts who are part of the Eastern Rite. And then the Pope Pius XII is designed for older scouts and really focuses on vocation. What is God calling me to? So it really fits into where a kid is at that point in their life, saying, okay, next step, beginning to think about college. What is God calling me to? And that's what the Pope Pius emblem is all about. So those, the Adultary Day and the Pope Pius, Light is Life, they take a little bit more time to work through, and most dioceses will have the bishop or someone representing the bishop present those at an annual convocation. Lizette, have you had any experience with the religious emblems, any of your kids or that have worked on them?
we did. I think the Light of Christ and the Parvali Day, I love those because you're getting them while they're still young, and it includes a lot of family involvement. So, especially Light of Christ, the little ones, second, third graders, they're still learning. Many of them are getting ready to receive their first communion. I think it's a great preparation, very simple, a lot of drawing, a lot of maybe one sentence answers. And then Parvali Day, it's a little bit more, it's probably your Webelos, your fourth, fifth graders. And then, like you mentioned, the Adultary Day, that was a difficult one, I think, for most of my scouts in my unit, but definitely something that they received a lot from. They had to visit with first, I think they had to, if I recall, they had to go to a wedding, go to a baptism, some of the different
Mhm.
sacraments. They had to live that a little bit differently, right? Maybe than just going for a family wedding.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and the
it-
younger ones, as you were just saying, the younger ones are parent-child relationship, and then these
right.
these older three, Adultary Day, Light is Life, and
It's
Pope
their
Pius,
life.
there are um there are mentors, or those who are familiar with scouting
Correct.
know that we have, merit badge counselors. So it's another adult who's been trained to kind of go through these emblems with the older kids
Correct.
as well.
And
So
guide them, but at the end
yes,
of the their faith journey.
yeah. One of the things that I always talk about with people is the idea that scouting is so focused on service, right? And obviously, as Catholic educators, service is very, very important, right? So we've talked about the activities, the emblems, uh, Boy Scouting. We didn't go much into that, but Boy Scouting has this rank advancement. But one of the things that really helps to connect these kids together is the opportunity to serve and make a lasting contribution. Lizette and I are going to just share a little bit about some projects that have been a part of the school through scouting. So here in my parish, we had a graduate of our school who was now in high school and was working on his Eagle project. And he came to me and wanted to think about some different ideas of how he could do something for the parish. And at the same time, somebody came forward with this self-watering gardening system, and he wanted to offer it to us so that we could provide fresh produce for those who come to our food pantry. So our graduate working on his Eagle Scout worked together, brought scouts together, created this awesome garden. You can see the picture of it there. It got bigger and bigger over the summer. It was a very low maintenance thing for our volunteers or our pantry workers. And it's also been an opportunity for our students to learn about growing vegetables and learn about, how this is so important for people to be able to give them some healthy food, where so many people are food poor, and maybe the cheapest options for them are not the most healthy options. So this was his project, and it was great to see a student, one of our graduates, make this contributions benefiting both the parish and the school. But Lizette, you have one as well, right?
I sure do. So this is an interesting one. This young lady, Daniela, her brother, she has 3 older brothers that all went through the scouting program. And when she was here at St. Michael's, we still did not allow girls into the program. So this is fairly recent, I don't know, 5 years maybe or so. So when Daniela heard about scouting, allowing young ladies, she immediately joined. And as an alum of St. Michael's, when it came time for her to do her Eagle project, she was the place I need to go with St. Michael, my school, where I grew up, where my brothers went to school, where my brothers were scouts, and she could have chosen and any place else to go. So our kindergarten area needed a little love and beautification. We are in an area called Little Havana in Miami, which is right on the outskirts of the inner city. It's not quite in the inner city, but we're like right there. So just so you know, 99% of our students are on scholarship. So, we jumped at the fact her parents have always been very, very generous with the school. And she created a butterfly garden for us. We had a back area where it was just concrete. And she decided that it would be great to paint some hopscotch and some different games on the ground so that the students would have a shaded area. We're very lucky. We have beautiful trees back there. And it also became a great reading area where it's right outside the kindergarten classroom. So the teacher or the assistant regularly bring a little group outside and they sit and they work there independently in their small groups. So it has definitely been a blessing to have her come back and contribute that way. She donated all sorts of things as well. And it just talks about the importance of Catholic scouting in the school, because you're always going to have those scouts that want to come back and give back. And in this case, it was her brothers that were the scouts here, because she wasn't able to join till later on. But it was great. And I will say that all the scouts that became Eagles, because all our scouts, I have to say, did become Eagle, came back to help her with her project. So that says a lot. That says a lot for that sense of community, that sense of service, that sense of giving back.
Mhm. And, so we want to keep our presentation somewhat to a half hour. So we wanted to just share various different things with you. And that we just have some other projects that have been done around the country that scouts have done. And they very much speak about how the volunteering and service has certainly been helpful to them. Some of the ones that we're looking at here were actually kids, and we don't have it as part of our presentation, but I'm going to quickly say it that the National Catholic Committee on Scouting has a scholarship program for Catholic Eagle Scouts going into college. So a lot of these pictures that we're showing here were those that have applied for the scholarship. And you can come to our website and take a look at the various different scholarships. A lot of money available for our young people who are moving on from elementary, high school, and into college. So that was our real quick brief. Sarah breezed through everything, and all this information can be available. Let me go back again to catholicscouting.com/NCEA, and you're welcome to reach out to Lizette and I to talk a little bit more about it. But we're going to wrap up the slideshow portion of things here because Bailey's going to facilitate some questions for us. I think I took away that, right? Okay. So Bailey, you have any questions come in during this presentation?
I have not had any questions come in. If you would like to, there is a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. We have about half an hour left, so if you have any questions, feel free to put them in there, and Father Gerard and Lisette will be happy to answer them.
Okay, so we'll wait for those questions to come in, but you know, Lizette, I think this is just a great conversation that we're having, but have you had the chance to have similar conversations with other educators, or has this been a new concept for people to incorporate scouting into their school community?
So it all depends who you speak to, right?
Mhm.
So as a principal, I do have connections, obviously, with a lot of the archdiocese schools in our area. And the closest one is St. Peter and Paul. And they've always been our rival in sports and in scouting. They've been our rival as well when we do those big camporees. But I have to tell you that the principals can tell you the same thing, especially this principal and I, we've had that discussion, the importance of scouting. And since most of our students, let me rephrase that, most of our scouts are our students, it's very easy to include it in your everyday, in an announcement, in different activities. So I'll give you an example, which probably has nothing to do with your question, but I want to share. So yesterday was Earth Day, and we had a presentation here. We did a quick prayer service in the morning, and then we had planting and a beautification project in different areas of the school. And the majority of those were scouts. And we had a few that a couple of weeks ago, we have something here called Baynanza, where it's a beach cleanup. The county does it. So all those students that participated in that Baynanza, which about half of them were scouts, they helped yesterday with the younger students and the younger scouts to help with the beautification of the area. I don't know that all the schools do that. I don't know to what extent, but I can tell you that I would say most of our Catholic schools, maybe not most, but I would say about half, do have a pack or a troop associated to them. And here in Miami, for the most part, the feeder pattern is, the school itself. Yes, we will have scouts from the parish as well, but for the most part, they are students from the schools.
Hmm. So we do have a few questions coming in. The first one, the light of Christ, the religious emblems that we were talking about, which is for the youngest of the children from 6 to 7 years old. And the question is, do they have to be baptized? The emblems are designed for those who are of the Catholic faith, right? So we're talking about a child that is preparing maybe for first communion years. Uh, as a pastor, if somebody came to me and say there was somebody in the school who was a scout, there, I wouldn't want to put a roadblock up and say, sure, begin to work on it. But the goal really is that this would be for those who are Catholic, right? So, a 6 or 7 year old who isn't baptized, we're going to want to have both of those conversations too about, getting that child baptized. So maybe the desire to work on the emblem may open up the door to bring a child along to baptism. Was that anything to add to that, or?
No, no, I totally agree with that.
Mhm.
Usually, most of the scouts that are working on it, they need to be Catholic. There
Mhm.
are other religious emblems for other religions.
Mhm.
So the goal is that they are growing in their faith.
Mhm.
And, baptism is the start of it.
Bailey, the next question, I think you would be able to answer that. Are we going to make this is it available?
Yes, so the question is, will this recording be available to us to share with our diocese leaders and parish leaders? Yes, this recording will be available in about 24 hours. It will be available on our YouTube channel, and I will also be sending out a link to everyone who attended and everyone who was unable to attend that will have that video as well.
Yeah. Okay. Those
And
are.
I can do a little shameless plug, but if you are
Mhm.
an NCEA member, the Momentum magazine came out. The spring magazine came out. I received mine today. And there's a little article there that I helped write on Catholic education and scouting in the Catholic schools. So there's a little bit more information there if you receive it. If you're an educator or a principal, most principals will receive it. You can ask.
Yeah. Well, I thank you I was going to bring that up. Thank you, first of all, for doing that article. We just had uh this month our annual meeting of the National Catholic Committee on Scouting. And that article was placed in everybody's bag, and a lot of compliments. Really, we're really appreciative of being able to see that. And also very tangible way to say, okay, well, all right, we say we have this relationship with the NCEA. Well, what's it doing? Well, here's this great article of a principal who can really speak to the relationship. Yeah. I don't have the questions at this point. I think the only other thing that I wanted to maybe encourage as well too is or explain a little bit. And that's the idea of charter relationships, right? That what makes the Boy Scouts of America different in is that the all of our units, so a Cub Pack or a troop or a venture crew or a ship, in all those things operate on our charter relationship, meaning that a community organization owns that unit, right? So my parish, we charter a Boy Scout troop and a Cub Pack. And that means that I, as the pastor, have the ability to um, have input into the leadership, who are leading our kids. Obviously, they would have to do the safe environment training that the church requires as an addition to what, scouting requires. And also programming too, like, that be able to say what our scouts would be participating in and what they would not be in. So we do have parishes that are chartering scout units, and we actually have schools that are able to do that as well too. And again, the advantage is that you own it. It's very different than just having a group of scouts meeting on your property. Because what you're saying when you charter them is saying this is part of our mission. This is part of the parish, the school's mission to care for young people. We are using this program just like we might use, an athletic program or any other kind of program that's dedicated to youth, where we bought into, we own this unit. The pastor, the principal, have the right to speak to who the leaders are, what kind of programming is happening, and that's the beauty of the charter relationship that scouting has.
It's a youth ministry.
Mhm.
It really is.
Yeah, and a ministry to youth and a ministry to those who work with youth.
Absolutely.
And that was one of the things we've sometimes talked about as well too. That we've had this phrase that uh, um, scouting is youth ministry, and the person that might be involved in youth ministry says, no, you're not that Sunday evening group or whatever, but scouting is ministry to youth, with and for youth. And we've had the opportunity, not only in this relationship with NCEA, but to work with the bishops in contributing to the new document that's going to be coming out on ministering with youth, with young people, based on Pope Francis's document, Christus Vivit. So that's what we're all about. We're having this conversation today because we're really trying to make the scouting program something that supports, enhances, and is in a relationship with everybody else has the same mission.
So much you can do with it, whether it's school related or not. We as a school, we have a monthly family mass, and in scouting we have something called Scout Sunday, where in February we celebrate scouting in the church, and usually we do that as part of our monthly family mass for February. So there's a lot to be done, a lot of evangelization that you can do through scouting, at the school level, at the church level, at the troop or pack level. It's just intertwining. It should naturally flow, if I can put it that way.
Okay. Well, Bailey, I know we had a lot more time left over, but hopefully people, educators, got a little something out of our presentation. Is there anything else that you wanted us to cover?
I don't think so. I think you've covered everything. If anyone has additional questions, I believe Father Gerard and Lisette had their information available on one of the slides. If Father, I already have the slides. I can also include the slides on the webinar on our website, on our YouTube website as well. So with that, thank you for attending today's NCEA webinar. NCEA continuously strives to improve the quality of our services for our members based on feedback. We will use your input to inform future work and improve services. This survey should take about 5 minutes to complete. I've already dropped it into the chat for you. If you are interested in a certificate of attendance, please include your email address and name at the end of the survey. Since the certificate will be sent via automated email, please check your spam if you do not see an email within the next few minutes. And with that, have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you. Have a
everybody
great
for being with
afternoon.
us.
Thank you.